Hello and welcome to this Blender tutorial brought to you by the Luwizart. My name is Emmanuel Okafo, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can reverse time for an orange inside Blender. So this effect can apply to any prop you have, be it characters or just any asset, and it's really good for visual effects and even motion graphics. So let's jump right into Blender and start. So this is the result which I ended up with. I'll just delete all this stuff I don't need. Okay, so I just have one slider where if I move it, the whole effect is taking place, and everything is created procedurally in Blender, and we'll be looking at how we can create that. So as you can see, from a healthy looking orange to one that you probably don't want to eat. Okay, so let's jump right in and start working. So what we want to do is basically go to add a UV sphere. So we'll just place this on top of the grid, and if we hit the special key, sorry, the context menu, and we can shade smooth. Now we'll go to the modifier and just add a subdivision, and then we can jump into the edit mode. So here in the edit mode, we'll just grab the edge select here and just go in and select a couple of edges. Okay, and if we bring out the move tool, we can just pull this down slightly, and we've gotten a basic orange. Okay, so now for the head of the orange, or the roots, the green stuff, I don't know what that's called. So we'll switch to the face select and hit the C key, and we can just select this. So we'll duplicate this and just scale it down slightly. Scale it Z0. Okay, and then we can insert it and just pull this out. And even go further to add edge loops there and just scale it out so it feels like it's resting. Okay, so we have our basic orange shape, and you can even go further and just grab this vertex and just create random stuff here so it looks more natural and realistic. Okay, so that's our basic orange, and we can go ahead and call this orange. I can spell it. Okay, so we have the orange, and so by default it's UV unwrapped, and we can just inspect it to see if we like it. So if we select this, and probably we have to unwrap this one again. Okay, so I'm not really worried about the overlapping because we'll be using procedural textures and it will not really affect it. So we're happy with that. We'll just close the UV, and now for the shader. So of course we have to save. So we'll call this tut for tutorial. Now in the shader editor, yours might look different. I have customized mine. So what I basically need, so selecting your orange asset, we'll hit new and call this orange material. Okay, so if you hit the control space, you can make this bigger, and just to work more efficiently in your node editor, it's always good to enable the node wrangler add-on. So you have to enable this. It speeds up the workflow when working with your shader editor. So once you have that enabled, you're good to go. So here let's bring out our material, just enable the material preview, and now we can see what's happening. So for the color, since we'll be using very little surface scatter, and I just want to have one color input for these two sockets, so I'm just going to add an RGB node. Okay, and here we can just preview the color for both the subsurface and the diffuse color. So we'll just try to set something that looks close to an orange color. Okay, next let's add those nice bump in the orange. So to do that, we'll just use a simple noise texture and bring out the color ramp, and of course our bump node. By the way, I'm using Shift A to bring out this menu, and you can see access this menu by going to add, and everything you need is here. So we'll connect this color to the bump. So before that, let's preview the noise texture. So by default it's using this is how it looks, so we can scale it up to something that looks nice, and we can preview the bump here. So you just control shift click on any node if you have the node wrangler enabled, and then you can have this kind of cool control in your node editor. So if we just reduce the strength, we can see in the viewport how much we need, and then with the color ramp node we can then tighten in the details. So right now it's not facing the right way, that's the bump, so we just have to invert it, and now it has inverted the bump, and we can connect the normal to the normal. Then let's see what we have. Cool, so you can see I've gotten our basic orange, so you can increase the bump there. So I'll probably just turn up the detail, because the detail is not really giving the result we want. And you can also play with the distortion, which is not appropriate for this effect. Anyway, so this is more like it. We could probably switch this to B-spline, so we don't have those hard edges in the bump. So this is what I want. I can just reduce the strength slightly. Anyway, so let's proceed. So for the color, we can see it's just using a plain orange color, which it's not so realistic. So let's add some realism to it. So we'll just duplicate this this noise texture, and we'll reduce the number to something like 3. We can duplicate this color ramp by hitting Shift D, and in the node we can then reset this node. Okay, now we'll connect the factor to the factor, and if we select this slider here, we can just put the color and just copy this exact color, and now we can connect this and go ahead and delete this since we don't need it again. So here we can just add a different color, and now we can preview we're just trying to add some randomness to the whole stuff. So that's a bit extreme, and we can just play till we have something that looks nice. So we have like variation in this orange. Okay, so I don't want to spend much time on it. And yeah, so for the cap, we can just go into the vertex paint, and so in the vertex paint we want to go to the vertex paint, and at this point we want to leave the material preview. Okay, and now if we bring out the tool panel, we want to just hit Shift K. Shift K is going to flood the whole color to be white. So if we have this set to blue and we hit Shift K, it's going to make everything blue. Okay, so we want white for now. So Shift K. Okay, so if we can isolate parts here. So if we select this part and click on this face mask, and we set this to that color and hit Shift K. We can just isolate that part and just fill it up with a dark color. So that's all we need. And now we can go here in the shader editor, attributes will bring out the color attribute, and it's using the vertex color. And with the mix node, we can connect the factor to blend it. Okay, and what we need to do is just flip this, switch the colors. Okay, and now we can make this a green color, something that looks appropriate. Okay, so I will not go much. I will not go really detailed with this because I want us to work faster. So something like this looks pretty good for an healthy orange. And since we're happy with this, we'll just select everything and hit Ctrl G. So it's gonna create a group. Okay, and we'll go ahead and name this group orange, healthy orange. Okay, and now we can duplicate this node and hold Ctrl Alt G. Okay, and now we're going to try to create an unhealthy orange. So for the unhealthy orange, with reference, you will notice that with unhealthy orange, the pores of the orange are not really prominent compared to the healthy ones. So to fix that, we'll just reduce this reduce this. Okay, and then for the color, we'll start going something white, and it's now overripe. Probably reduce this. Okay, so something like this. It's getting spoiled. Okay, so for the head, we can set this to a more lighter color, darker color, sorry, something like this. Okay, so this is the first level of color, so we need to build more. The next is just create those white fungals. So to do that, we'll use this, we'll select the noise and just reset it. You can preview it easily. So we can just connect this to this, and let's see what we have. Okay, so we're having those nice blotches, but now it's quite bland, so we need to give it more detail. So we could add some details here and add distortion slightly. Don't worry, it's actually going to come together when you actually deform the orange. So something like this. So it's not perfect, but it's close to what I did in the final video. With this, I'm not really going into really detailed, but we can get across. The point is coming across like this, so we can move on to the next step. So for the next step, we'll just select everything like we did earlier and hit Ctrl G. So you can notice I'm not selecting the material output, just selecting all the texture and the principal shader. And now I can blend this to, sorry, we have to switch this to a mix shader. So now we have bad orange and the healthy orange. So we can flip between the two materials, the two shaders, to get different effects. Okay, so this is the healthy one, and we can flip to the unhealthy one. Okay, so for the next step, let's go ahead and model a rotten orange. So to do that, we'll be using shape keys. So for that, we'll just click on this pin icon, go into sculpt mode, and grab the move brush. You can hit G for that. And now all we need to do is just pull this in like this. Okay, you can start filling it. I think we probably should add more bump. So, okay. So this is the rotten orange. Okay, so now we need one unified system to blend between the shader and the material. So for that, we'll add a simple empty, and we'll call this driver FX driver. Okay, and right now if I hit Alt G, you can see it's clearing the location, so the scene origin, but I want the whole location. I want the default location and rotation and scale to be here. So to do that, I will hit Ctrl A and do Alt transform to delta. So now if I move it and do Alt G, if I scale it Alt S, it's going to scale back to the position where I want it. Okay, so now I will right click here and do add driver. I will set this to var. Okay, and for the object, I'm going to select FX driver. So if you have watched my previous tutorial, I've explained several times why I'm using the var, and basically it's using the name of this variable. So that's what you're going to put here. So for the location, X location and world space, that's okay. The reason is X location is because if I move the location I want to move it is this direction, and we can see if I move it is the X location. Okay, and yeah, the reason it's world space is that with object you want to leave it at world space because it works better for object. So like empty spheres, cube, you want to leave it at world space. When you're using rigs, then you can either consider switching it to local space. Excuse me. So we can see it's working now, but the effect is quite, it gets there too fast, so we want to control that a bit. So we'll open the driver, then we go to modifier and add a generator. By default this generator is set to 1, so we could reduce it by setting it to 0.5, so it's a bit slower than it gets. So I'm back. So we left off where we have everything working. So now the next stage is to add the driver to the shader itself. So we just select the orange, go to the shape key editor where you can find here this nice triangle with 3 points. So we'll right click on the value and do copy driver, and here in the shader editor we want to select the mix and do paste driver. Okay, so if we hit Alt G and move it, you can see we are getting it to work, but we are encountering a problem. If we move, as we move this, it's getting too extreme whereby it's turning to a different fruit oil in total, which can be cool, but we want to have control over everything we are doing, so this is not ideal, so we need to control that. So to fix that, we just open driver editor, so we need to play with the values. So if you go to orange and scroll down, we can see default material. We can see the orange material here, and here default value. This is what we want to change. So we'll leave everything as default in the driver property. Then if we go to the modifier, we already have our generator, which is fine. Next, what we want to add is a limit. Okay, so for the limit, I want it when it's by default on its default value. Just bring this up. So I want it when it's at its default value. So I'll enable this and enable this. So the maximum of 1 and minimum of 0. So it's not getting that, so we need to play with these values a couple more times. So I'm just going to move this window to my second screen so I can work better. Okay, so it's done. So now we have it working. So once we have it in the lower value, we have the orange color, and once we move this, we have it working. So let me show you guys my values. So if I select this and go to modifier, for the limit I have the minimum set to -0.63, and for the maximum I have it set to 1.59. so you could play with those values and you can get what really works for you. So that's what we have here. So let's create an animation, because this is not enough to like give it that final nice organic motion, because this is quite robotic and we want to have those nice kind of squishy simulation kind of effect. So in the first frame, we can turn this on. We'll insert keyframe there, and let's just set it to 50 frames, sorry. And here we'll make it dissolve. Okay, so this is what we have, and as I predicted, you can see it's quite very robotic, so we need to give it kind of those squishy feeling. That's when a new feature that came in Blender is really handy, the cloth simulate brush. So we're going to be using this to kind of give it a simulation feeling. So what we want to do is kind of see where it's going. So we can see so we want to create like an anticipation and a progress. We want to create an anticipation shape key to anticipate the clothes moving, building up, and then the progress, and then probably the overlapping shape key. If you the terms I'm using is basically animation term, and anticipation is the motion before any movement, and overlap is the motion after every movement, and then we can create an in-between just to create a very fluid looking animation. So for that, we'll select this object and create a new shape key. So we'll call this anti. So anticipating that is going to like squeeze in, so we can kind of anticipate that and increase the value to 1. In the sculpt mode, we want to grab the cloth brush. So this I'm using Blender 2.83 where you can use the cloth brush feature, but if you don't have it, you can actually use the move brush to get same effect, but it's just cooler and I get to play with a new feature. So yeah, so we can just use the cloth brush and make sure we have everything set. So I'm using the drag, and I just want to have like kind of it's like gravity is already affecting it, and don't worry, we'll play with the roads later. So it's just have those kind of skin feeling. In case you don't have the cloth brush, you can use the nudge brush or thumb brush to get the same effect of just like gravity affecting something. And in edit mode we can just easily move this downwards. And now if we play this, you can see we have that kind of nice gravity effect or skin slide effect. So we have that now. The next one we want is the in between, that's the breakdown. So here, so we can call this break BK for breakdown, I don't know. So same thing, we can grab the cloth brush and set the value to 1. By the way, if you're not really familiar with shape key in Blender, I have a video on this channel explaining shape keys, so you can check it out to really understand. So I can use the cloth brush and just drag this down to give it that kind of nice leathery motion, skin sliding effect. Okay, and then the final, the overlapping. So for this we'll get the last motion, and then we can move this downwards. Okay, so now for the animation, we'll go to the first frame, and here we can insert the keyframe to be at 0. Here we can anticipate slightly, and let's see. So that's too far, so we can. Okay, so this is working now. So for the breakdown, we'll insert keyframe and make it start taking effect. Okay, and then finally the overlap. Okay, so for the overlap, I think it's quite okay, somewhere like this. Probably we don't need it to be at completely 1. So okay, so that's it. You can see we've animated a rotten orange. So if it's quite fast, we can select everything and just scale it up slightly and get the decaying of a fruit. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please like this video so Blender can suggest it to more so YouTube can suggest it to more Blender users. Stay safe, help yourself so you can help others in this kind of situation that we're experiencing. I'm talking about the epidemic. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching this tutorial. See you next time.